What's up, everyone? Today we have another fantastic compilation featuring the best stories from our TIFU. These 8 incredible tales will shock and entertain you. Subscribe if you're new here. This story is titled TIFU By Thinking It Was Normal to Not Be Able to Open Your Eyes in the Morning for 25 Years, posted by you/specific Nebula 9665. Ever since I was a kid, it took me ages to get out of bed. The sunlight coming through the window seemed so bright, I couldn't even open my eyes past a squint. It took maybe 20 to 30 minutes of blinking, squinting, and sometimes fumbling around with my eyes closed before I was fully awake. My mother told me that it just took a while to get used to the light in the morning, and that it took a bit to fully wake up. I planned every morning around 20 minutes of blinking, squinting, and trying to not go back to sleep. I am 27 years old, so this has just been a fact of life for me. I set a second alarm about an hour before I have to actually get up, so I have plenty of time to wake up and possibly fall back asleep for a bit. I have a toddler now, and he sleeps terribly, so mornings have been rough for me. One morning I took a picture of myself with my squinty, lopsided, because one side was able to open a bit more, eyes, to show a friend how exhausted I looked first thing in the morning. She asked me why my eyes were like that, and I told her I hadn't gotten used to the light. She was even more confused. I asked some friends and did some Googling. It was not normal. Most people just open their eyes in the morning. A friend suggested that maybe I slept with my eyes open, and while I wasn't sure about that, I noticed that my son did sleep with his eyes cracked, so it stood to reason that I did too. I bought nighttime eye gel and eye drops for the morning, and used them for the first time last night today. Sure enough, I woke up with my eyes a bit sensitive and hard to open, less than usual, thanks to the gel. I reached for the drops, put them in, and opened my eyes immediately. It was like I had been up for an hour. The light didn't bother me, my eyes were wide open, and I felt wide awake. My entire life, I had thought it was normal, but I cured myself of a daily inconvenience by spending $20. I am trying to convince my mom to try the drops, too, LMAO. This story is titled TIFU Thinking the Fact I Never Burped Was Just a Quirk, posted by you/SlightyDampClothes. Let's dive into another shocking story. Background: I get incredibly painful symptoms of reflux, and over the past 10 years I have undergone multiple tests including 3 gastroscopies, a barium swallow, and a manometry and 24 hours pH study, a test where I needed to have 2 tubes shoved down my nose into my stomach fully awake. I frequently need to go home early from things due to the severity of symptoms. It has been pretty isolating. A few months ago I was at a friend's house, and we were discussing people who claim they never fart and how absurd this sounds. I told her and her husband that I never burp, which they pointed out would be terribly painful. I decided to Google it. This is a thing, but it is a medical condition, and every single one of my symptoms was listed as a symptom of this condition. Went to a net with my newfound information. Turns out I do have the condition, RCPD. Relatively easy to fix with Botox. It had never occurred to me that I was physically unable to burp. I just always thought it was a bit of a quirk that I didn't. Thousands of dollars and many uncomfortable tests for seemingly nothing. This story is titled TIFU Not Realizing for 38 Years That It's Not Normal to Not Be Able to Bite Flat Foods, posted by you/MBeastBro. Let's jump into another amazing story. So, my teeth aren't straight, but they're not bad enough that I ever felt it was worth spending the money to fix them. That said, I always struggle with certain foods. Tomatoes on a burger, onions on a sub, even buttered or slippery stuff like deep-fried pickles. I honestly figured this was normal and that everyone had the same issue, not just me. Then, the other day, my 4-year-old was eating a fruit to go, and he just bit right through it and pulled off a piece. I was impressed, and also confused. How can he do that so easily when I can't? That's when it hit me, not everyone has this problem. It's a me problem. For 38 years, I just assumed everyone struggled with foods like this. Meanwhile, my dentist never once mentioned that my overbite might be the reason I can't bite things normally. So, next time you see someone wrestling with a vegetable on a sandwich, say hello. I don't bite. Literally. This story is titled TIFU By Being So Single That My Dad Offered to Pay for a Month of a Dating App for Me, posted by u/MRH83092. Our next story is equally fascinating. I am a 33F who has been divorced for about 5 years. And single for a decent chunk of that time, not for lack of trying. I date but just have not found my person. Apparently, my father is concerned about my love life or lack thereof because he spontaneously offered to pay for a month of a dating app for me before I'm supposed to spend Thanksgiving with him and my stepmom. They've been sending me texts all week leading up to the holiday telling me I can bring anyone I want. And asking repeatedly if I am bringing anyone with me for the holiday. Each time I respond that it's just going to be me, myself, and I. It's funny but it's not. Thanks, Pops. This story is titled TIFU By Thinking Vomiting Every Morning Was Normal, posted by u/Ava/. Our next story is equally fascinating. This happened last year but long story short I almost died. It started slowly, with me frequently missing breakfast because of stress, depression, and ADHD. I would get stomach cramps and blow it off. Sometimes I'd get dry heaving but ignore it. Eventually, this developed into every morning I would painfully vomit for about 10 to 30 minutes, usually getting nothing except a little bile, and maybe some blood from my agitated esophagus. I just figured it was bad hunger pangs because sometimes if I ate something before the nausea set in. If it already set in then eating made it worse, it would seem to prevent or delay the onset until later in the day. I ignored this for over a year and a half. Finally, my insurance provider required me to go to my annual physical, which was mostly normal except for. When leaving I mentioned to the doctor, "Oh, by the way, Eve been vomiting every morning, what do you think that's about?" And she was extremely concerned. She got me blood tests immediately and it turns out my lipase levels were extremely high. She ordered me to the emergency room that day. And I spent 4 days in the hospital with acute pancreatitis, which is a life-threatening disease. I honestly don't know how I managed to stay alive with it that long. But I'm grateful we caught it as it could have gotten far worse. They later on ended up removing my gallbladder. And finding stones that didn't show on the MRIs, so that was a likely cause. Still, note to future self. And others, throwing up every day is not normal and you should probably look into that. This story is titled TIFU By Accidentally Making My Entire Extended Family Think I'm a Drug Dealer, posted by u/Young Wealth. Moving on to our next incredible story. I've been selling on eBay for like 6 months now, mostly electronics. And vintage stuff I find at thrift stores. Nothing crazy but I've been making decent side money. And actually managed to save up a couple $100, which felt pretty good. Anyways, I keep all my inventory in these white plastic bags in my car trunk cause I'm too lazy to bring them inside. At the wedding earlier this month I parked kinda far. And my aunt needed her phone charger from her car. I offered to grab it since I was heading out anyway to get something from mine. I pop my trunk and there's literally like 15 white plastic bags stuffed with random electronics, cords, old iPods, you name it. I grab what I need and close it. Apparently, my uncle saw me and caught a glimpse of me shedding a trunk full of white bags. He tells my other uncle. They tell my mom. By the time I get back inside for dinner there's this weird vibe. And people keep giving me looks. Finally, my mom pulls me aside all concerned and asks if everything is okay. And if I need help with anything. I'm so confused until she straight up asks if I'm selling drugs. Turns out half my family now thinks those bags are full of pills or something. I've been treating my family to dinner more often lately since I actually have some money saved aside for once, and apparently that just made them more suspicious. Like me picking up the tab at restaurants was somehow proof I was dealing. My mom literally said, "We noticed you've been spending more," like it was evidence LMAO. I had to literally show them my eBay account and explain what I actually do. My cousin was dying laughing but my grandma still looks at me weird. Pretty sure Thanksgiving is gonna be awkward as hell now. This story is titled TIFU By Being Bad at Games, posted by u/PoppingBoba. Moving on to our next incredible story. I just want to play games with my boyfriend. But the caveat is that I am not at the same caliber as he is with games, so there's a skill difference. Yeah, I suck. Time to get good, whatever. Today, just an hour ago, we finished playing Apex, wildcard, not even ranked, and boyfriend was just done. Complete silent treatment. He just walked away. Then, he came back and said unless he's streaming. We are not playing games together because he'll just get mad at me. And if he's streaming, he will be able to keep himself in check. That's just an excuse though, I don't stream. And he won't stream with me there so, I can read between the lines. I was never good at shooting games and this honestly hurt a lot. I just wanted to game with him cause he seems to have so much fun laughing and joking and such with his other friends. But with me, every game he just goes silent and sullen. I'm so sad and honestly, more than a little heartbroken. This story is titled TIFU By Fainting in an Animal Enclosure, posted by you/OK East 9198. And now for our final story of today. Sorry for formatting issues, I'm typing this on my phone. I, 23F, work as a part-time zookeeper at an Australian zoo. This zoo is pretty popular in my area, and we frequently have school and other groups attend. Now, for some background, I'm on some medication that makes me sensitive to the heat and makes me lose my appetite. So, it's the middle of the day, 38 degrees Celsius, I haven't eaten since the night before, my colleague is doing a koala show. And I'm making sure to hose down some of the animals around her to get them to cool down while the kids and visitors are all distracted. Big mistake. All of a sudden in the kangaroo paddock I start to get lightheaded. And the next second, boom, I'm on the ground in full view of everyone. I'm surrounded by kangaroos licking sweat off my arms, falling and shit. And scraped the back of my arms, shoulders, and back. It gets worse. Who but to run and help me but my work crush, let's call him a ripped 34-year-old guy who looks like Hugh Jackman in that Nicole Kidman movie Welcome to Australia, or some shit like that. He picks me up, I insist I can walk. But nope, just full on fireman carries me to the sprinkler system for me to cool off. I thank him and he makes comments about how it was no issue, I'm light as a feather, and he carries his nieces and nephews through the sprinkler systems when they all play at home like that all the time, fucking great being compared to one of his underage family members. About 5 minutes later I walk to the staff area, everyone's laughing and making jokes about it, made sure I was okay first. And I got called into the boss's office for some health and safety training relating to hot days and heat exhaustion. So, yeah, a bit rough. What an incredible collection of stories we had today. Reddit never ceases to amaze me. Like and subscribe for more Reddit story compilations. Until next time, take care.